There's a clash going on right now in the Georgia legislature over Confederate monuments that could affect Columbus and other cities. And Newsletter 9's Katie Cameron got opinions from people around town. She joins us now live in downtown Columbus with more on these bills. So, Katie, how could this impact us?
Jason, this Confederate monument on Broadway was erected in 1879. And while it is privately owned by the Ladies Memorial Association, it does sit on land owned by the city. This means it could be affected by the bills being debated in the Georgia legislature. Jerome Dingle has lived in Columbus since 2014. He has a wife and family here, and he says he has really tried to learn about the city.
And then when I first moved here, I did a lot of walking and reading some of the placards to understand the history of Columbus.
And part of that history was heavily involved in the Civil War, and this monument on Broadway reflects that. Democrats in the Georgia legislature proposed HB 175 that amends the official code of Georgia to, quote, prohibit the display of monuments, memorials, plaques, markers, or memorabilia related to the Confederate States of America on public property. This wouldn't apply to museums or Civil War battlefields. The Republicans proposed a bill of their own that would add extra protection to things like the state flag and seal, as well as government statues and symbols. This would include symbols of the Confederacy. If the Democrats' bill passed, this could mean the monument here would have to be moved.
I think that they should stay because it's a part of history, and regardless of what happened between both sides, I think it's still part of our community as well.
Dingle says sometimes it's easy to use history to support beliefs.
Whether they want to acknowledge the good part of the history or the bad part of the history, I guess that's something we do as people. We rationalize and we pick and choose what we want to acknowledge.
Richard Gardner is an associate professor of history education at Columbus State.
I wouldn't want the Egyptian pyramids to be removed. Doesn't mean that I'm glorifying the slavery. They just happen to represent some degree of history.
Dingle says he thinks the statues should each be looked at differently.
And should be given its own merit of why it was erected, the time frame, who was a sponsor.
Current Georgia law says that no publicly owned monument in honor of any military service can be changed or removed. Both the bills have been heard in the Georgia House and Senate, but no vote has been taken. Live in historic Columbus, Katie Cameron, WTVM News Leader 9.
We'll see what happens. All right, thanks so much, Katie, for that live report.
Well,